Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is a Legacy School Literacy lesson for Year 6, Week 3. For this lesson, you'll need your Checkpoint 1 book from pages 8 to 10, your literacy copybook, and a pencil and eraser. All right, so today what we are going to be talking about is the ancient city of Pompeii. As you remember, we were previously talking about factual writing, and this is a text example of factual writing. Let's go ahead and read through the subheadings and then look at our questions. So we have about 5 subheadings: 2 cities, not 1, what Pompeii was like before the explosion, what happened when the volcano exploded, other disasters that struck Pompeii, and the excavation of Pompeii. So this kind of gives you an example of what this text is about. So you're going to open up your course book and have a look. Can you describe the text in front of you? There are titles and headings, pictures, explanations under the pictures, illustrations of Roman costumes. They even have pronunciation in a help box. And the text is very, very colorful. Without reading the text, do you like the layout? Imagine it without pictures and colors. Would you still be interested in it? Do you think the pictures make the article more interesting, or do you think they serve another more important purpose? Honestly, they just help the students to understand and imagine the place and the clothes more easily. I personally prefer the article the way it is. I think it's very attractive and it's very interesting to look at. Why do you think the text uses headlines? This is something we've talked about in class before. Each headline starts a slightly different topic. The headlines make it clearer for us to understand what the paragraph will be speaking about, and they make us excited. After reading the article, it will be easier for us to find the information we are looking for using the headlines. So, which 2 headlines are questions? And why do you think they're written as questions? Change the headlines to statements. Do they sound exciting? I want to see you go ahead and do that in your copybooks, and you can take a picture of your answers and send that to me. Do you think the text was written for younger people or adults, and why? I think it was written for younger people, definitely. And that's why they have cartoon images of togas, what the Romans used to wear, and the vivid colors make it a lot more attractive for younger readers. All right, let's read the text together out loud. We're going to head back to where the text began, and we're just going to go ahead and read through it. So, Pompeii. Have you ever heard of the ancient Italian city called Pompeii? Pompeii was a large and thriving city that was destroyed when a volcano called Mount Vesuvius erupted, killing many of the city's inhabitants, and leaving behind a perfectly preserved example of the ancient life in the Mediterranean. 2 cities, not 1. Many people who've heard of Pompeii don't realize there were actually 2 cities that were destroyed by the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, Pompeii and Herculaneum. Both were completely covered in volcanic ash when Vesuvius belched volcanic ash and hot mud on the 24th of August in the year 79 AD. Both cities were forgotten until they were found again in the 1700s. Over time, the cities became completely buried. Excavation, which is the process archaeologists use to dig up buried artifacts, has been underway for several hundred years. At Pompeii, there are still many areas yet to be uncovered. What was Pompeii like before the explosion? Pompeii was a city of 20,000 residents. In many ways, it was very progressive. Pompeii had indoor running water, a thriving marketplace, an amphitheater for entertainment, and a structured government. The homes of the wealthiest citizens reveal beautiful works of art, particularly frescoes, pictures painted on the walls using specific technique, and a reverence for local gods and goddesses. Pompeii also contained public baths, cobblestone streets, sidewalks, and many private shops, where its residents could purchase almost anything they wanted. Since Pompeii was a port city located on the blue waters of the Bay of Naples, the people who lived there could take advantage of the many ships that made port in Pompeii. They brought goods from many exotic locations to trade and sell in Pompeii and other Roman cities. The people themselves were typical of the Roman Empire at that time. There were several classes in Roman society, starting with the very wealthy and ending with slaves. The slaves were usually people who had been captured and enslaved following a war. They served the wealthier Romans and were the lowest class of the people in the Roman society. What happened when the volcano exploded? Volcanoes are not all alike. Vesuvius is what is known as a composite volcano. Composite volcanoes have two different types of eruptions: the kind you see in movies, where the volcano spits molten lava, and the kind where the volcano spews rock and ash. The eruption that destroyed Pompeii and Herculaneum was of the latter kind. Many times before an explosion, a volcano will rumble a bit, that is, make noise without actually exploding. Prior to the actual eruption, witnesses reported seeing a very large cloud over the top of the mountain. This cloud was made from volcanic ash and cinders. The ash from a burned object is usually very light. It looks harmless, but volcanic ash chokes and suffocates every living thing, which is what happened when Vesuvius exploded in AD 79. Volcanic ash is thick and heavy and falls in massive amounts, along with hot cinders and rocks. The first stage of the eruption is called the Plinian stage of the volcanic eruption. Pompeii was buried under 8 to 10 feet of ash and debris. Pliny the Younger, a Roman soldier, witnessed much of the eruption and helped to evacuate a small number of residents. The Plinian stage is named after him. Other disasters also struck Pompeii. Pompeii had its share of natural disasters. In the year AD 62, just 17 years earlier, the city was destroyed by an earthquake, then rebuilt. In the year 202 AD, Vesuvius erupted for a solid week. In the stretch of time between the year AD 306 and AD 522, the volcano erupted at least 4 times, and maybe as many as 5. Vesuvius also erupted in 1631. Then again several times in the period between 1913 and 1944. Italians refer to the mountain as Vesuvio, the excavation of Pompeii. Since its discovery in the 1700s, Pompeii has been in a state of excavation. Many teams of archaeologists have worked on the site, with the result that Pompeii has yielded many artifacts from ancient times, in addition to wonderful frescoes and other objects of art. The town has given us a true picture of life during the Roman era. Many of the artifacts found in Pompeii are in museums, notably the one in Naples. Sadly, about 2,000 bodies were discovered, their outlines preserved forever by the hardened ash, mud, and debris. Let's go ahead and move forward to where we left off. All right. Now that we've read the text together, can you give me facts that you have found in this article? Go ahead and jot those down in your copybooks. So, I want you to turn to page 10 in your book now, and we're going to do exercise 2. It says to make notes using bullet points of all the factual details about Pompeii and the people who lived there before the eruption of Mount Vesuvius in AD 79. And then B asks you to write a second set of notes, also bullet points, containing all the facts about the eruption of Mount Vesuvius and its effects on the surrounding area. Remember, when we write in bullet points, you don't always have to write in full sentences with punctuation. I just want the basic important facts. All right, then you're going to go ahead and compare your notes to the original article. What features of this article have not been included in your note version? Do you think that the missing features are important to make the article interesting to the reader? I want you to go ahead and write the answers to those questions in your copybook as well. When you're finished, you can take a photo and send it to me on Seesaw.